As the missions minister here at Wilshire, I had the privilege of recently returning from leading a team for 2 weeks to Kenya and Tanzania. We had a wonderful time exploring potential partnerships for global mission partners. Our missions interview this morning will be a brief report brought to you by myself and Collin Yarbrough. Collin is a missions committee member and journeyed with me the past few weeks to evaluate the potential of partnership. So Collin, welcome.
Thank you.
Our first week we spent working with an organization called Sudzo International. And if you haven't heard of Sudzo within the past year, then you haven't spent enough time with our pastoral resident, Kevin Sinclair. Kevin was influential in helping shape and launch this new ministry, and we were grateful for the ability to go and see what they were doing. You'll find on the back portion of your order of worship a story written by one of our team members, Shannon Gibson, that explains a little bit more about the mission and the work that they do. But Collin, I'm wondering if you could share with us a brief story of impact in which you saw.
Sure, absolutely. So Sudzo operates on kind of this 3R model to rescue, restore, and reintegrate boys that are living on the streets in northern Kenya. And they're usually doing drugs. The popular drug of choice is sniffing shoe glue and things like that. And one of the stories that stuck out to me the most during the week was this story of a young man named Joseph who was learning to be a carpenter. And somehow that biblical irony was lost on me until about yesterday. And so I was part of a construction group working to put a roof on a bakery expansion that the farm that Sudzo operates where these boys live. And when we first got there, we met Joseph, and they were like, yes, he's going to Polytechnic and learning to be a carpenter trade. And so when we first started working, you see this transformation, and I'm kind of helping, and there's big language barrier. I do not speak Swahili, and he did not speak very good English either. And so as the week progressed, you just saw this slow relinquishing of the work that I thought I was going to be doing to Joseph taking the lead, using power tools, using proper safety equipment, and really casting a shadow for all the boys that were helping us that week. And it's one thing to be there on the farm and see these joyous boys and all these happy faces, but on Wednesday when we went and did the street walk, the first boy that I saw in this faded red jacket had a dead face on his look and had the bottle with the shoe glue in it. And my mind immediately jumped back to Joseph. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, Joseph was one of these boys less than a year ago. And to see the man that he was on the farm was just a powerful testament to the work that Sudzo's doing in northern Kenya.
Wonderful. So then we were a group of 11, and so on Sunday we said goodbye to the majority of the team, and 4 of us traveled onward to Tanzania to explore a potential World Hunger Offering recipient. And so we worked with the African Inland Church of Tanzania, and we visited 4 different villages where churches were empowered to facilitate community development work. So not only were they facilitators, but they were really seeing immense change happening in their communities. So I have a lot of favorite moments and stories of this time, but Collin, what sticks out to you? What was your favorite moment of our village tour?
So my personal favorite was the willingness of all the community church choirs to allow me to engage in their song and dance. I got a big kick out of that, and I think they did as well. But probably as far as community transformation goes, the most striking example of all of the communities we toured was at this town called Bukavu. And as the name might suggest, it has a bit of a dark history. And all we had heard leading up to visiting that community was about Bukavu's history. Witchcraft, dark energy, all those things that you're like, oh, you're going to Bukavu? Like, why would you go there? And I'll never forget when we're going up this remote road into the village, and all you see is shiny, happy, clean faces, and you're just trying to reconcile this disconnect between what you've heard about Bukavu and this village that's 3 years within their into their 5-year development process, and just to hear their testimony of, we were alcoholics, we didn't have water, we couldn't farm, our kids didn't have education, we had no dignity. And then to be 3 years later, we're farming, we've got tailoring businesses, we have a well, we have a church, we want to build a school. And it was just an amazing testament to the work that the AICT is doing in Tanzania.
So in closing, Collin is a missions committee member, but also somebody deeply committed to God's mission here in Dallas. How was participating on this team transformative to your own understanding of God and mission?
Yes. So for those of you who know Judy and I and the work that we do with our bakery here in Dallas and one of our local missions partners, City Square, it's safe to say that I'm pretty staunchly a local missions advocate. And I think as we went on to the trip, and you can attest to this, probably the first 4 days or so, I was in a serious state of shock and awe. And I think when you were asking me kind of how you doing, what are you feeling, I don't know if I had any answers or words. It was just kind of this blank stare as I was trying to process everything. And I think that's because what I was realizing is that I was approaching missions in an either-or type mindset. It's either going to be local or it's only going to be global. And I wasn't creating space for both of those. But what I was seeing in Africa was this broad sense of how big God can be. And it was totally upending my framework. And what I realized is that God is operating in this both-and space. And I think what I learned is that as Christians and as the church, we are called to operate in that same framework.
Well, thank you, Collin, for your insight and your ability to share the transformation that occurred in you as a part of this team.